Alright, we're back with episode 4 of my Making a Murderer review. Episode 3 ended off with the confession tapes of Brendan Dassey. And as I say at the beginning of all of these videos, if you haven't seen Making a Murderer on Netflix, go watch that first. Especially go watch the confession tapes they got of Brendan Dassey. They are absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe they were allowed. It's just absolutely horrid, in my opinion, that stuff like that is allowed to happen. It's so, I don't even have words. It's so bad. It's so terrible. We start off episode 4 with Brendan's mother, Barb, stating, "He says to me all the time, he didn't do anything. They told him what to say." And she couldn't be more right. I can't stress this enough, go watch the confession tapes and you tell me that they didn't tell him what to say. They didn't lead him. They didn't coerce him. They didn't do everything they absolutely could to get Brendan to say what they wanted him to say. Stephen Avery says, "I feel sorry for him. He's only 16. He's still a kid. They pressed him so much he didn't know which way to go." Stephen's 100% correct. Len Kaczynski is Brendan's new court-appointed lawyer. Remember, Brendan's first lawyer had to be removed because he was related to Teresa Halbach. But honestly, man, if I had to choose between a relative of Teresa and this guy, I probably would have went with the relative of Teresa. Len Kaczynski, as you will see coming up, is horrible. Just brutal. He starts out by saying that he was influenced, Brendan was influenced by evil incarnate, meaning Stephen Avery. Dean Strang, of course, one of Stephen Avery's lawyers. They turned Stephen's family against Brendan. He was Stephen Avery's alibi. They finally got the horror story they are trying to tell, meaning they were able to turn Brendan against Stephen. They were just going down a list and they got Brendan. Brendan's a slow learner. They convinced him of a story and now they got the story that they want to tell. By adding 3 new charges to Stephen Avery because of Brendan's confession, they have a better chance of getting Stephen convicted on something. For the state to win, all they have to do is get one of those charges to stick. For Stephen Avery to win, they have to run the board. They have to be not guilty on all 3 charges. On March the 1st, 2006, Stephen is interviewed by the Associated Press. They ask him, "What do you think of Brendan's confession?" "I think he was coerced. With detectives, it doesn't take much to coerce a young person. I know they did it because there's no evidence." Brendan is later talking to his mother on the telephone. "They said my statements were inconsistent." What does inconsistent mean? He doesn't know what inconsistent means, and his mother doesn't know what inconsistent means. That this is not meant to be a knock on either one of them. I am fully supportive of Brendan's mother and Brendan, and that anyone that is on Brendan's side, I am fully supportive of, but it goes to show the level of intelligence that these people have. And I mean that in a I know that sounds terrible, but I mean that in a way they knew they could trick these people into doing whatever they wanted to do, and that's why they chose them. May the 12th, Judge Fox decides whether Dassey's statements are admissible, meaning the statements he gave to police. Len, his lawyer, says this case relies on the confession. If it's allowed in court, they will try for a plea bargain. Judge Fox, this is what Judge Fox had to say in court. Dassey is enrolled in mostly regular classes in school, some special ed classes. His IQ is below average to borderline range. The tactic of misleading Dassey was not improper or coercive. because it didn't interfere with his power to make rational choices. You literally just said his IQ was below average. So police who are supposed to be intelligent, who you're supposed to be able to trust, are misleading him by lying to him, by getting him to say the things they want to hear. But you're saying that that tactic is okay? Man, this part of the case absolutely infuriates me. It's so angering to see what they did to this poor kid. And he was a kid. He might not be a kid now, but he was 16 years old at the time. He was a minor. None of this stuff was happening with a lawyer present. He was talking to police every single time without a lawyer present at 16 years old with a below average IQ. The judge rules his statements were voluntary. Motion to suppress is denied. Teresa's brother says, play the confession tape in court. This is a huge win for us. Our reporter then kind of looks confused, asks him if he has seen the confession tapes. He says no. Now, again, I'm not taking away from anything that happened to Teresa. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But one would hope that Teresa's family wants the correct person arrested for these crimes. One would hope that once they saw those confession tapes, that they would realize, okay, something's funny is going on here. Maybe this 16-year-old kid didn't have anything to do with it. But on the flip side of that, if you are Teresa's family, you are going to trust the police that they're doing the right thing, because that's what you're taught to do. You're taught to be able to trust the police. But man, how can you watch those tapes and tell me that that's okay? Len makes arrangements for his investigator, Mike O'Kelly, to meet with Brendan. This guy's another piece of work. I don't get it. I don't get how everybody in the world is out to get this poor kid. This is brutal. Are you sorry? Mike O'Kelly says this to Brendan. Are you sorry for what you did? Do you promise to not do it again? He hands him a form. It's literally a check yes or no form. Literally check yes or no situation for, are you sorry you killed this person and will you kill again? What is going, is this real? Do they actually have this in the state of Wisconsin? Do they have this in other states? Is that a thing? Check yes or no. What? This is ridiculous. Brendan stares at the paper for a while and doesn't know what to do. Then says, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Mike O'Kelly replies with, if you are not sorry, I can't help you. You did a bad thing. Brendan replies with, I was only there for the fire. Brendan is giving him the truth. Brendan is giving him what actually happened, but he does not care. Isn't this guy supposed to be on Brendan's side? Are you kidding me? There's clearly something going on with Len and this Mike fellow and the prosecution. Wait, why? He's supposed to be there helping. He's getting what happened. Could you imagine telling the truth and being told that that truth is not true? I can't. I can't imagine doing that to somebody. You're in a position of power over this child. He clearly trusts these adults. Clearly trusts these adults. That's why he's doing what they say. But this is the one time he should have been not trusting of these adults. I want to say much, much more, but I'm trying to keep the language clean. It's ridiculous, man. It's absolutely disgusting. So because of what Mike O'Kelly is telling him, he checked yes, he was sorry, and then filled out what happened. And this is what I believe 100% what actually happened. This is Brendan's first story. This is Brendan's non-coerced story of what actually happened before he was made to change it all. At 3:45 p.m. he got home. He went to his mom's and played PlayStation. Now, here's something I've never seen brought up. If he was playing a video game, if he was playing the PlayStation video game, back then there was memory cards, right? Or even if it was saved to the system, if this didn't come up, it was probably because he played the game again or nobody even thought. The date and time he would have saved the game would have been there. Now, if he played the game later, it would have been updated with a new date and time, so that wouldn't have mattered. But imagine if he didn't play that particular game again and didn't save his progress again after that day, that would have proved that he was at home playing that video game when all of this was supposed to be happening. So he played PlayStation till 5 p.m., called a friend at 5:30, watched TV till 6 p.m. He got a call from Blaine's boss. At 7 p.m., Stephen called to ask Brendan to the fire. Waited till the fire went down around 9:30. Mom called, told Stephen I was to be home by 10 p.m. I went home, talked to his mom, and went to bed. Mike O'Kelly asks Brendan, is there anything missing from this statement? Brendan says no. O'Kelly says, is Teresa in this statement? Brendan replies with no. Michael Kelly replies, well, then it's missing. But it's not missing. He's telling you the truth. This is what happened. That's why he's not mentioning Teresa. She's not meant to be in the statement because he had absolutely nothing to do with it. He was playing video games. He said, then this is not a truthful statement. Would you do this again? Brendan says, because I didn't do nothing. I was only there for the fire. Mike, buddy, he's telling you what happened. Listen to the kid. Listen to Brendan. O'Kelly ends with, I want you to testify against Stephen. I want you to tell the truth. But he doesn't want the actual truth. He wants the truth that they want him to say so that they can convict Stephen. Clearly, Michael Kelly and Len are working with the prosecution to convict Stephen. It's plain as day. He says with those words, the words that Brendan wrote, that he can't help him at all. He then asks, I can't believe this is a thing. How does this help? He wants Brendan to draw a picture of stabbing her. Draw a picture of you having sex with her. What does that even look like? Draw a picture of the bed and how she was tied down. So Brendan draws these ridiculous pictures. Like stick figure. No! So dumb. O'Kelly on the phone with Dassey's lawyer. Do you want me to call Fassbender to interview Dassey? He then makes the call. Why would this guy call the prosecution's or the sheriff's interrogator to come interview? Wouldn't that be up to them to figure out? I don't know how that works. I mean, maybe that's normal, but that seems weird to me of why he would want to call Fassbender immediately to interview Brendan. Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't understand. May 13th, Fassbender and Weirgart interview Dassey. Still no lawyer present. Len, nowhere to be found. Where are you, buddy? This is another confession tape you need to go watch. Go watch the documentary. Go watch Making a Murderer. It's so painful to sit through, but you have to watch it to understand how badly they're railroading this 16-year-old. They then get another confession out of him. Again, still no lawyer present. Isn't that inadmissible when there's no lawyer present and you're a minor? I don't know. I don't know how things work in Wisconsin, but you would think they tell Brendan to call his mom and tell her what happened, and he does. Barb tells Jody, Barb's Brendan's mother, tells Jody, Stephen's fiance, Stephen just buried my son. Jody reads the phone bill from October 31st. Remember, Jody was in jail when all of this was supposedly happening. She called Stephen that day. All phone calls from jails are recorded for obvious reasons. She called Stephen Avery at 5:36 p.m. supposedly when all this was happening, and they talked for 15 minutes. He stopped and talked during his rape and murder with his nephew there to talk on the phone to his fiance for 15 minutes. I mean, according to the police or the sheriffs, he answered the door to invite Brendan to join the rape and murder, so why wouldn't he stop to answer the phone? He was quite busy doing other things during this rape and murder of Teresa. How does this make any sense whatsoever? It doesn't. Like, you're going to stop to answer the phone, you're going to stop to answer the door, you're going to invite people to join? This is absolutely insane. She calls back at 8:57 p.m. She said he sounded normal both times, not like someone that was committing these crimes. All these calls are recorded. You don't have to take my word for it. Go listen to the phone calls in the documentary. Tell me if it sounds like this guy is committing rape, torture, murder, kidnapping, everything he's accused of, and, you know, just stopping to answer the door, just stopping to talk to his fiance, probably ordering a pizza. Like, this is ridiculous. Baking a cake. Like, what else is he doing during all this? This is insane. And again, I'm not taking away what happened to Teresa, but framing somebody for what happened, it's not the way to go about it. Get the actual person. Alan Avery, Stephen's father, says everyone knew Teresa was coming. Everyone knew Teresa was coming to take the pictures. Do you think Stephen, he says, do you think a man is going to tell everyone someone is coming and then kill her? Yeah, I'm inviting this girl over. Then I'm going to kill her. Cool? What? This is insane. Pete, I don't know how to correctly pronounce Pete's last name. Looks like Bates, Baetz. I apologize. He is Dean and Jerry's investigator, Stephen's lawyer's investigator. He's been doing this a long time, and he makes a pile of sense during his interview. Man, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about 100%. He says this is an unprofessional mess. They had plenty of time to fool around with evidence. You don't search a house 18 times. Once a place is cleared, it is released back to the person. The key they found is worthless because of the number of searches. Remember, the key was found on like the seventh or eighth search, and it was supposedly right out in the open. The key was used by Teresa. Obviously, it was her RAV4, it was her vehicle. The key was used by Teresa for several years, but when they did the DNA test on the key, the only DNA found on the key was Stephen Avery's. Teresa's DNA was not on the key. Clearly, the key was cleaned and Stephen's DNA was planted on the key. How is 0 of Teresa's DNA on this key? Jerry Budding, one of Stephen's lawyer, the RAV4 was found on the lot. This is a ridiculous place to leave it. Remember, they have a salvage yard. There is a crusher on the property. They could have just crushed the vehicle. Blood was found in the vehicle, but no fingerprints on the outside of the vehicle or on the inside of the vehicle were found. No fingerprints matching Stephen Avery's was found, meaning Stephen would have had to have been wearing gloves. But if he was wearing gloves, how did the blood get in the car? But these are good questions. Now, Sheriff Ken Peterson. We've talked about him a few times in the past. This is, so far, his greatest quote of this documentary. It's weird. Remember, this guy's like a sheriff. He's supposed to be somebody the town is supposed to trust. Someone that your children is supposed to trust. Someone as adults you're supposed to be able to trust. He says Stephen will kill again. It's in his personality. Now here we go. Would have been easier to eliminate him than frame him. Would have been much easier to have him killed. So you're saying it's easy for the police, sheriffs, to get away with murder. What else can they get away with? Dean Strang, Stephen's lawyer. This is insane. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. Barb and Brendan are on the phone. Brendan says to his mother, they already knew what happened. They just wanted it to come out of my mouth. His mother asks, did Stephen kill her? Brendan replies with, not that I know of. He might have, but not with me. His mother asks why he agreed to all this stuff. He says, I'm really stupid, Mom. I can't help it. It's heartbreaking to hear Brendan talk about this. Because he's trusting these people. And they're forcing him to say things that just didn't happen. He's a child. He's 16. Imagine you're a 16-year-old child, probably on the autism spectrum, below average IQ, being told your entire life probably you can trust police. That's if police pull you over, talk to them. If they have questions, answer them. They're there to help. It's just yeah. Jody is arrested and sent to jail for a few days, and she is told to move, get a job, and have no contact with Stephen Avery. She later breaks up with Stephen. And clearly they are doing this, they're doing everything they can to mess with Stephen. The defense tries to exclude the Manitowoc County Sheriff Department from any involvement in Stephen's trial. Ken Peterson, here we go. Ken's back. The guy that just said it would have been easier to kill Stephen is on the stand. Then he says he has doubts that Avery was innocent of the first crime, meaning someone planted someone in. How it was, I don't understand. But the judge does exclude the department from any involvement in the upcoming trial. Brendan's mother says Brendan's lawyer won't return her calls. Brendan says his lawyer, Len, wants him to plead guilty. His mother states, your lawyer believes you did it. He wants to put you away. They go to court to try and remove Ken as Brendan's lawyer. The judge asks, why do you want to change lawyers? Brendan says, I think he thinks I'm guilty. Clearly, Brendan's correct here, because Mike O'Kelly and Len are clearly working with the prosecution here, or something funny is going on. The judge, of course, denies the request, because it's normal for everything that's happening to this kid. Brendan writes a letter to the judge, and he writes what actually happened, which was the same thing he said in his first testimony. It's the same thing he wrote on the piece of paper that Michael Kelly got him to fill out before Michael Kelly got him to change his story. Len reads the letter, says this is beneficial to Stephen Avery, that's why he did it. The judge later learns that Len let Dassey be questioned alone, and then dismisses him, finally, as Brendan's lawyer. This guy would end up getting arrested a while after for something. I'm going to do a video on that separately. This guy's a piece of work. So thankfully, whatever, it doesn't help. But thankfully, at this point in time, Len is removed as Brendan's lawyer. Jerry says Ken Peterson was the arresting officer in the 1985 case against Stephen Avery. And now he's head of that office and clearly has a dislike for Stephen Avery. James Lank found the key on the 7th entry into Stephen's home. This key was supposedly out in the open next to a cabinet, but it took 7 times to find it. Just laying on the floor. You're a horrible investigator, or whatever it is you do, to miss that key 7 times. What were you doing? Avery's defense team gets a court order to examine the contents of the 1985 file case. Weirgart and Special Prosecutor Norm Gahn are also present. There's scotch tape on the box, and the evidence label also looks like it's cut through. Jerry Budding, Stephen's lawyer, states the seal is clearly broken outside and inside the box. Inside the box is a tube of Stephen Avery's blood. And the top of that tube is a needle-sized hole. Meaning somebody stuck a needle, took Stephen Avery's blood out. What did they do with that blood? Plant it at the scene of the crime. The episode ends with Stephen's lawyer saying, "Game on!" Woo! So things are looking up for Stephen at this point in time. But man, that's the end of episode 4, and it's absolutely disgusting seeing what they're doing to Brendan. He's a child. It's the thing, I can't even speak. The thing that frustrates me the most about this case is what they did and still are doing to Brendan Dassey. He was 16 at the time. I don't understand. It's so frustrating. But I'm going to end episode 4 there. Thanks for watching. Drop some comments. Let me know what you think of the case up until this point in time. And I'll see you guys again soon.